Welcome to the Restricted Handling Podcast. This is what's been going on in China in the past 24 hours. We're starting today with some big news out of Taiwan. After a rare 10-day break, China has resumed its military activity around the island. And we're not just talking about a few reconnaissance flights here. Over the past 24 hours, 26 Chinese aircraft and 7 naval vessels have been spotted operating near Taiwan. 16 of those aircraft crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait or entered Taiwan's air defense identification zone. For those keeping score, this is classic Chinese gray zone harassment. It's meant to normalize the idea that China can pretty much do whatever it wants around Taiwan, day in and day out. This is exactly the kind of low-level aggression that Taiwan's military is forced to contend with. It's not an all-out war, but it's a constant pressure, with Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense staying on high alert and deploying combat air patrols, Navy ships, and coastal missile systems. What's interesting is that this resumption of activity comes right ahead of President Trump's planned summit with Xi Jinping in Beijing. Some experts are wondering whether China was just trying to send a message. Hey, we'll show you what we can do before we sit down at the table. Keep in mind, Taiwan's not a new issue, but it's always a hot-button topic between the U.S. and China. What happens next in the coming weeks could set the stage for a lot more than just trade talk. Speaking of trade, let's hop over to Paris, where U.S. and Chinese economic officials wrapped up a marathon series of meetings. These discussions have been billed as remarkably stable, which might sound a little dry, but trust me, it's huge. We're talking about potential breakthroughs on critical minerals and agriculture, and with the Trump-Xi summit coming up later this month, this is all leading into something big. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng are doing some heavy lifting behind the scenes to pave the way for the talks. So what's actually on the table? First up, China is said to be open to increasing purchases of U.S. agricultural products, things like poultry, beef, and non-soybean crops. It's not all just soybeans, people. This could lead to China buying even more American products, making the relationship a bit more balanced. There's also the issue of critical minerals. The U.S. aerospace industry has been struggling to get key materials like yttrium, which is crucial for things like jet engines. If China plays nice here, the U.S. might start getting better access to the materials it needs. But, and this is a big but, it's still up to Trump and Xi to finalize everything. So don't hold your breath just yet. Now let's shift gears to some serious energy drama coming out of Vietnam. Here's where things get interesting. Due to a combination of China and Thailand halting exports of refined fuels, including jet fuel, Vietnam is bracing for serious aviation disruptions. Why? Well, Vietnam imports more than 2/3 of its jet fuel, and nearly 60% of that comes from China and Thailand. Starting in April, Vietnamese airlines could face flight cuts, especially for domestic routes. The aviation regulator in Vietnam has already warned about fuel shortages, and they're scrambling to find alternative suppliers. So the big question is, can countries like India, South Korea, or even Japan come through with the much-needed supplies to keep flights running smoothly? We'll see. But this whole situation really highlights the far-reaching effects of geopolitical tensions, like the Iran conflict, on regional fuel supplies. And all of this is happening because of China's and Thailand's export restrictions. Looks like Beijing once again has a huge influence on Southeast Asia's energy market. Switching things up a bit, let's talk about the South China Sea, where China and the Philippines are still in the middle of a high-stakes maritime dispute. The Philippine government recently fired back at China's sweeping claims of sovereignty over the region, specifically Scarborough Shoal, which China has been controlling through Coast Guard operations. Manila is not backing down. They're sticking to their guns on Scarborough Shoal, which lies just 200 kilometers from the Philippines and is within its exclusive economic zone. The Philippine government has emphasized that international law is on its side, referencing the 2016 Permanent Court of Arbitration ruling that China's claim over the entire South China Sea is without foundation. This is an ongoing issue that shows no signs of easing up. While China insists on its territorial rights, the Philippines continues to push back. This also has huge implications for U.S. interests in the region. as the U.S. has pledged to help defend the Philippines in case of an attack in its EEZ. This is Geopolitics 101. China pushing its boundaries and the Philippines standing firm with international backing. All right, to round things out, let's get into China's long-term play for technological dominance. Xi Jinping is ramping up efforts to make China as self-sufficient as possible when it comes to high-tech industries. His new 5-year plan, 2026-2030, is laser-focused on becoming the global leader in AI, quantum computing, robotics, and more. But here's the kicker. It's not just about civilian technology. It's about military-civil fusion, where the lines between China's military and civilian tech companies are increasingly blurry. These industries are all getting wrapped up in China's push for dominance on the global stage. Xi is putting a lot of focus on supply chain sovereignty, meaning China wants to control the resources, materials, and technologies that power the world's next big innovations. They're also pulling a page from the old-school playbook by using technology transfer and talent recruitment to stay ahead. But here's the thing. While China is heavily investing in self-sufficiency, it's also using trade tactics, like blocking access to rare earths, as leverage. So it's clear that this is going to be a long, hard road for China to navigate. But don't underestimate their ambitions. And there you have it, another day in the world of high-stakes geopolitics. From Taiwan's military pressures to Vietnam's jet fuel crisis, the world stage is as tense as ever. And remember, while the specifics of these crises might seem like they're happening far away, they have direct implications on all of us. Whether it's through the price of oil or military alliances, these global chess games are shaping the world we live in. Thanks for listening and helping grow our community. Please take a moment to leave a 5-star review. We also publish a daily written intel brief on Substack, where you'll find even deeper coverage of Russia and China, along with insights on Iran, the Middle East, and the DPRK.